Well, you can see why I like coming to Hamilton. It's great to stand here with three fine candidates I know well. I want to repeat something that Helen said, which is very important. When it's all over and done, and when all of these three people are in the House of Commons in Ottawa, as they will be thanks to your efforts, they've got to show that they will be there on the 15th of October, on the 20th of October. Next year, they'll be at the door, that the seniors are not forgotten, that the people who are struggling are not forgotten. Larry was kind enough to talk about all the embarrassing things I've done in my time, but the thing I'm proudest of is that I'm a member of Parliament in the House of Commons of Canada, and that in this campaign I can go in my riding and say that I've helped 4,000 constituents in the last 2 years. I'm not a miracle worker, none of us are miracle workers, but we are here to serve. That is what we do. That is what we stand for, and that is what our constituents must believe if they are to do their job. So I want to emphasize that idea of service, because that's what we do. That's our job, that's our mandate. I have rarely heard such three good speeches. I got nothing to say. You can all go home now. They were terrific. But I do want to give you a kind of national picture here of what the election's at stake. I say it looking out at you with a deep sense of the history of our country. I remember the times when Hamilton was a mighty fortress for the Liberal Party. We got to make it a mighty fortress for the Liberal Party again. I look out at you and I see some of you remember when I came into politics. I was 17 years old and I knocked on doors for Mike Pearson. And I then worked on the campaign plane with Pierre Trudeau in 1968. And I mention that for one reason, because it helps us to understand what the election's really about. Our party is not just a party, it's a national institution. And where the Liberal Party planted the stake, that was the center of Canadian politics. We are not a party of the left, we are a party of the center. And where we planted the center stake, that's where the center was. And because we planted the stake there, Canada has Medicare. Canada has the Canada Pension Plan. Nous habitons un pays bilingue, fier de l'être. We support culture, we support the arts. We look after those who are less fortunate. We are the party of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Everybody in this crowd can look every other person in this crowd and say, I'm a Canadian, I'm no better than you, I'm no worse than you, I'm equal to you. That equality is the core of what we believe in. I tell you without arrogance, I tell you with simple pride, we created the country you live in. Never forget it. And what Stephen Harper wants to do, they talk about his secret agenda. It's not secret at all. It is to replace the Liberal Party of Canada as the natural governing party of our country. And if he succeeds, he will pick up that stake where we planted it in the middle of Canadian life, and he will move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 degrees to the right. And I swear to you, in a couple of mandates, you won't recognize the country you live in. And that's what's at stake in this election. So we have to go to the doorstep. We have to remind them what country they live in. An egalitarian, an equal, a compassionate, a tolerant, a fair-minded country. A country that believes in pragmatic, non-ideological, center-of-the-road policies for all Canadians. And you say, look out, there's a train coming down the track. And we've got to stop that train. Now let me tell you one other thing. and then I'm going to stop, because you've heard a lot of better speeches than I'm giving you. And it's this. We've got to stop allowing Stephen Harper to define what leadership is in this country. Give me a break with this stuff. I mean, let's get angry about this. I worked for Mike Pearson. Mike Pearson, every day he was prime minister, somebody said the guy lisps, the guy doesn't speak French, the guy doesn't know how to run a team. Think of what Mike Pearson contributed to this country. There isn't a school child in this country who doesn't know he was one of the best prime ministers in 50 years. So don't talk to the Liberal Party about leadership. Don't you dare talk to the Liberal Party about leadership. We've led this country from Laurier onwards, and we're darn proud of our tradition. And we've got a team now, we've got a leader now we can be proud of. And let me tell you something about leadership. I'm getting a little carried away here, but you're going to allow me, you're going to indulge me. When I was a child, my father told me a wonderful thing. He said, if you put your ear to the railway line, you can hear the train before you see it. Did you ever get told that when you were a kid? Well, I was told it, and it's always struck me as being the greatest metaphor for leadership there is. You want a leader who listens to the train so he hears the train before anybody else sees it. And what the Liberal Party has seen about our economy is there's a train coming down the track. Stephen Harper is presenting this election as if it's a choice between the status quo, steady as we go, and risk. That is not the choice, my friends. It's a choice in this election between doing nothing, getting hit by the train, or making the changes that we need to make for this economy to survive. And the change that Stéphane Dion has seen is a change that every single worker in Hamilton, Stony Creek, the Mountain, I'm going down to Welland after this, understands. They talk about this as being, nobody can understand it. Every auto worker I have talked to understands this. What they understand is very simple. We either produce products that get more miles per liter, and we either produce products that use less energy in their production, or we don't have any jobs. Okay? That's the message. Greening this economy is not something we might do in about 25 years when we've done a lot of other stuff. It's not about 40 years down the track. It's about right now. It's about the industrial heartland of our country, right? We must become more efficient in the way we use energy, and we must get some cars in those showrooms, just not 400 yards from here, which people want to buy because they get more miles per liter. It's that simple. I've got car factories in my riding. I've got plants that work in the auto sector. I understand this. They talk about me as some kind of intellectual, my head up in the clouds. If you represent Etobicoke Lakeshore, if you're a member of Parliament, you have your feet on the ground or you don't come back. And everybody up here has their feet on the ground. And they understand this. They understand this. You have to go to your neighbors. You have to go to your friends. And you have to tell them one simple message. We either change this economy or we get hit by the train. Okay? I'm telling you. That's why this party understands what leadership is. We're not thinking about tomorrow morning. We don't judge leadership by whether you can dose it all up to win the next election, which is Stephen Harper's idea of leadership. We are asking, what does this country need in the next generation so that there are good jobs, well-paying jobs for our children and grandchildren? That is the test of leadership, and we meet that test. So let me leave you. Don't let them pull up that stake in the middle. Don't let them move it to the right. And don't let them sell you that the status quo is good enough. Because every one of you knows it's not good enough. In your heart of hearts, you know we have to change this economy in order to give our kids a job. This is what this election is about. You've got fantastic candidates. You are not supposed to be here. You've got to get out from this parking lot right now. You got to put a sign in for Larry. You got to knock on a door. You got to pick up the phone. You got to talk to your neighbors. You know what to do. Now go and do it. Thank you very much.
I also want to take this opportunity to recognize one more person. She's been our longest standing former